Hi, my name is Susan Greenberg, and I play the flute. I actually play more than just the flute. The flute has 4 instruments in its family. It has the highest one, which is the piccolo, then the C flute, the alto flute, which I brought, but also a bass flute, which I didn't bring today, but I have played. We mostly use the bass flute in the studios. I did a lot of Deep Space Nine and Star Trek, and we used a lot of bass flute for that. And I will demonstrate all 3 of the instruments for you. Of course, you're probably familiar with the flute. I can carry it around in a small case because it comes apart. I have a head joint, a body, and a foot joint. We can get around the flute a lot because we can use 2 different parts of our tongue. Daga 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 daga. We can even triple tongue. Daga 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 daga. So we can play quite fast on the flute. So now the smaller member of the family is the piccolo, and my piccolo is made out of grenadilla wood that comes from South Africa. And this piccolo is very old. I've played it for a long time, and it kind of mellows with age. So it's good to have a mellow piccolo, because otherwise it might be too shrill. Anyway, I'm going to play a little bit of a piece called the Wren Polka. And the lower member of the flute family is the alto flute. And I actually play one that has a curved head because you know what? When I play the straight head, I have to play it way down there. And you know what? It's easy to get tendinitis playing like that. So they actually curve the instrument to make it more ergonomic. So I'll just play a couple bars for you. It has a lower sound, you can listen. So that's my flute family for today.
Hi, my name is Sergio and I am a clarinet player. The clarinet is an instrument that has 7 detachable parts. So if I can actually take everything apart, I will get 7 individual parts. The name for some of these parts actually come from some objects that these parts actually resemble. So for example, this right here, the bottom part of my clarinet, almost looks like a bell, right? So the name for this part is actually bell. If I go a little bit higher on my instrument and I get here this part, this kind of almost looks like a barrel, and the name for this part is actually barrel. The clarinet can be made out of lots of different materials, but usually the professional clarinet models are made out of wood. This clarinet in particular is made out of wood. And then also the clarinet has some keys that are plated and they are made out of metals. To produce a sound in the clarinet, we need something that we call of a reed. And this reed right here, it's called a single reed and is made by a kind of wood that pandas really love, bamboo. I call this a single reed because it's only one reed. Some instruments use more than one reed to play music, to make sound. But in the clarinet we only use one. But if I blow in my reed, nothing really happens. So I need a couple other things to make this work. I need one mouthpiece and one ligature. The ligature is going to hold the reed in the mouthpiece, just like this. Make sure that everything is holding, and then once I blow, I have sound. The clarinet is an instrument that some people say has a sound that is very close to the human voice, and also some composers sometimes use the clarinet sound to portray other animals. There's a very famous Russian composer called Sergei Prokofiev who wrote a piece whose name is Peter and the Wolf, and in that piece used the clarinet to resemble a cat. And here's an excerpt from that piece. The clarinet is also an instrument that is quite flexible and it can do a lot of very fun effects. So actually a very famous American composer called Gershwin composed a piece that uses one of these effects, which is called a glissando. So basically the clarinet is going to play something like a bunch of notes going high and is going to slide them. And this piece is called Rhapsody in Blue, and I'm also going to play a little excerpt for you. Could you hear the glissando? So the clarinet is actually an instrument that has a really big family. So for you today, I also brought another instrument which is also a clarinet. It's not a saxophone. Many people confuse it with a saxophone because it kind of has the same shape. But the reason why it has this shape is that so that the tube can be longer. And if you are guessing that the bass clarinet makes a lower sound than the other clarinet I showed you, you are absolutely correct. It does make a sound that is a lot lower. In fact, the bass clarinet is much bigger, and even the reed, as I can show you right here, even the reed is a lot bigger than the other clarinet reed. So actually, I kind of need a little bit more air to make it work. I'm going to show you guys how it sounds to finish my presentation. So, to show you how the clarinet sounds are different, I'm going to be playing that same excerpt from Sergei Prokofiev, Peter and the Wolf, that excerpt that resembles a cat, and you'll be able to tell that because the sound of the clarinet is a lot lower, maybe it's not going to resemble a cat so much anymore. Maybe it's going to be something more like a bear or an elephant. Well, you can choose whatever you like the best. So here it goes.
my name is Judith Farmer, and this is the bassoon. The bassoon is a low-sounding instrument, somewhat like the bass clarinet you just heard. Like the clarinet, it's a reed instrument, but unlike the clarinet, it's not a single reed instrument, but a double reed instrument. And rather than putting a reed on a mouthpiece, we bind two pieces of cane together, and hopefully the reed will make a sound by itself. We call this the crow. And this is the sound generator for the instrument. Now, I'm about 5'9", and if I stand up and you see the instrument, you think, okay, that instrument's maybe 4 feet long, but in fact, it doubles back on itself, and is a total of about 8 feet long. And we have to do that, otherwise we could never reach the tone holes and the keys. So we put our sound generator, or our reed, on this end. The bassoon has a large range, as you might guess from its length. You might be familiar with also from Prokofiev's Peter and the Wolf. The grandfather plays in the lowest range of the bassoon. In the mid-range, you might hear something like the lyrical solo from Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade. Or in our highest range, you might be familiar with the solo from Ravel's Bolero. Another nice characteristic of the bassoon is just how it plays short notes. It has a nice knock to the sound, which you might hear quite often in classical compositions. So that is the bassoon.